Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці. Сьогодні відбулись ще кілька етапів нашого дипломатичного марафону.
Dear Ukrainians, I wish you health. Thorough more stages of our diplomatic marathon took place. I spoke with Mrs. Čaputová, the President of Slovakia, about details of our defense cooperation and the diplomatic steps we have planned with the Europeans for the near future. Thank you to Slovakia for supporting the interests of Ukraine and the whole of Europe. I also held talks with the Prime Minister of Albania, Rama. As always, I heard an understanding of our needs and understanding of the Ukrainian position. In general, thanks to the negotiations this week, we managed to significantly strengthen the resoluteness of our partners to increase the supply of weapons to Ukraine, and we are working as hard as possible to ensure that it's reflected in the decisions of the next meeting at Ramstein Air Base, the meeting of defense ministers, which will take place in the second half of January. We are also preparing for Ukraine's participation in the events of the World Economic Forum in Davos. This year, the traditional economic topics of the forum will obviously give way to security issues, and it's important for us that there is an effective and clear Ukrainian answer to every question of the world regarding security. So be it. I took part in a special solemn meeting of the Lithuanian Seimas. Lithuania celebrated the Day of the Defenders of Freedom, the anniversary of the events of January 1991, when people defended the independence of their state against the efforts of then Moscow to maintain control over Lithuania. And on January 13th, there was a very symbolic meeting, very emotional. I thanked our Lithuanian brothers for all their actions in support of Ukraine and our struggle for freedom, and for all their words about the heroism of our people, which were and will be heard in Lithuania. And one of our greatest achievements in this time since February 24th was very clearly felt, namely the context of European freedom. The context of the integrity of the European Union is simply impossible to imagine now without Ukraine. The fullness of Europe is in particular the fullness of integration with Ukraine. We will do everything to implement it in concrete decisions of the European community. Of course, this day as every day, we are constantly in touch with our commanders, with the heads of intelligence and special services. The tough battle for the Donetsk region continues. The battle for Bakhmut and Soledar, for Kreminna, for other towns and villages in the east of our country continues. Has concentrated its greatest forces in this direction. Our troops, the armed forces of Ukraine, all defense and security forces, are defending the state. I thank every soldier, sergeant, officer of brigades and other army units who are bravely performing their tasks. I thank the fighters of the Kraken unit for their decisive actions to destroy the enemy near Soledar. Thanks to the soldiers of the International Legion of the Defense Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense and the Shaman unit who are bravely defending Bakhmut. 324 days of the full-scale war, and how things have changed for Russia. They are already gnawing among themselves over who should be credited with some tactical advance. It's a clear signal of failure for the enemy, and it's another incentive for all of us to put more pressure on the occupier and to inflict heavier losses on the enemy. Thanks to everyone who makes it happen, both on the front lines and all our other fronts. That is why I also want to mark the employees of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, those whose work is usually completely invisible, about whom few people talk, but they really bring closer very important decisions of partners for Ukraine, for our defenders. Thanks for that. I thank all the personnel of the Security Service of Ukraine, whose results in the fight, in particular against collaborators and saboteurs, society sees. Every step of the state in national defense is carefully prepared, and this gives us legal and fair results. This gives us a real increase in our independence, in all its aspects. Thank you for that. Thanks to everyone who works for the victory of our country. Glory to our soldiers. Glory to Ukraine.